With all the media attention that the Buffs football team has gotten this past year, the success of our basketball team has been very overshadowed. Believe it or not, the Buffs made history in this year's NBA draft. But first, welcome in Buffs fans, and thanks for tuning in to Buffs Banter, presented by Believe Network. My name is Dean Frank, and I'm here with my roommate and co-host, Oscar Gonzalez-Moore.
Before we get into the show, make sure to join the Stampede. Follow and subscribe to us on all platforms. We'll be posting shows twice a week so you don't miss a thing about CU sports all year long.
Let's get right into it. Today, the segment we're going to go over is Buffs Backstage. What is going on behind the scenes with our CU athletes? And I know it might feel like a little bit ago, but the NBA draft, the Buffs made history. Cody Williams, drafted 10th overall by the Utah Jazz. He was the first one-and-done player and the highest freshman drafted ever in CU program history. We got Tristan Da Silva, who was selected 18th overall by the Orlando Magic. And then KJ Simpson, drafted 42nd overall to the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, great year for the Buffs in the NBA draft. But, Dean, you had the chance to work for the team this year. How was it seeing those three guys and the rest of the team who just signed rookie contracts play together?
Yeah, I think I'm a basketball guy through and throughout. So it was awesome just being firsthand with the team and just seeing on a day-to-day basis how the players and everything goes down behind the scenes with the stadium and whatnot. But honestly, talent-wise, I really think that this was the best CU basketball team ever. Colorado joined UConn and Kentucky as the only programs to have at least 3 players selected in this year's draft. And I think that shows a lot. I mean, I think we're definitely overshadowed as a program. I know we did have some injuries this year with Cody Williams being hurt. He missed a bunch of games, but we were pretty successful when it came down to it, winning a couple games in March Madness. And we definitely made some noise, and we made Colorado basketball known throughout the country, really. But I think that in some ways that we are very overshadowed, and it has to be just because of the hype that Deion Sanders and the football team brought this year. But we did have a pretty good basketball year. I mean, sold out games. It was awesome just being the last Pac-12 year and playing against USC, UCLA, who both also had down years. But it's Big 12 now, so that I'm really scared for that. But yeah, I guess before we get into that, with the NBA drafts going down and everything, whose game do you think is most NBA ready out of these 3 stars?
Yeah. Before I get into that, I just wanted to quickly comment on what you just said, because I totally agree with you. And I think it's so interesting when we were applying, we're going into our senior years now, but in the March Madness tournament in 2021, the Buffs, that was the last time we had made an appearance. We were the 5 seed. And you just look back on that team. I mean, Evan Battier, who we'll talk about in a little bit, was a star player. You had Jabari Walker, which I believe was the last NBA draft pick from Colorado. McKinley Wright. I mean, do you remember that guy? That guy was awesome. Meanwhile, you have guys like Da Silva, who I'm looking at the stat sheet right now for the game they played against Georgetown in the first round. And he literally had 5 minutes, 1 point, and 1 board, So it's just crazy to see the player development. Yeah, that was when he was a freshman. Just see the player development overall now that he is just in the league, he went in the first round. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on that. But going back to your question, who do I think is the most NBA ready right now? That was your question, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Cody Williams just because his combination of size, athleticism, and versatility. He's 6'8". He's 19 years old, which is nuts. His defensive skills are super advanced, I feel like, for his age. As you could have seen if anybody watched the tape at the FIBA Men's U19 World Cup, he was just a very good defender there. And although he didn't have the craziest stats at Colorado, his brother, Jalen Williams, is an insanely good athlete and basketball player for the Oklahoma City Thunder right now. And I think between his defensive versatility, his athleticism, and his experience to just like high level international competition at this age is he's due to be a great NBA player. And I think right now too.
Yeah,
How
that's
about
interesting.
yourself?
I think it really does help having J Dub, his brother. Like he saw the whole process go down, and I think he's a little less starstruck. I mean, the Thunder were. I don't know if you remember, but you remember when the OKC Thunder were at one of Colorado's games? They were all sitting front row. It's like Cody has already been in the spotlight. He's met all these NBA stars already, and it's not as. I think he just isn't a starstruck. Like he's more ready to jump into the league and make a difference rather than someone else who I guess has no relations in the NBA. But to go back to your question, or to go back to my first question, I guess, I think Tristan Da Silva is the most league ready out of these three. He played with the Buffs all 4 seasons. He has developed into he knows his role. You know what I mean? He knows what he has to do on a day in, day out basis, whether it's score, whether it's pass, rebound, assist, play defense. Like he was that perfect role player that he doesn't take the way he plays the game is just very smooth. And I don't know if that's that international gameplay style that we kind of seen from even another player, his teammate now, Franz Wagner, who's from Germany. But I really like Tristan Da Silva's play style because he doesn't do too much. And I think that the scouts around the league definitely saw this. I mean, whether the stats are there or not, he can do whatever it takes. And he had over 20 points in his first summer league game. So it kind of just shows like his age there is too. It's like kind of someone like a Jaime Jaquez who was in college for 4 years. And once they get into the league, they've already played enough basketball to not lose the moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be a very interesting rookie class. There's no Zion, there's no Wemby, there's no Kevin Durant, there's no freak of really nature in this class. So it'll be really interesting to see who runs away with Rookie of the Year and how, in general, all these rookies end up performing.
I really like that because, everyone in the media talked before the draft saying this is one of the worst draft classes ever, yada, yada. But now it's like in the summer league and some of these rookies are actually like playing super well. And then you look in the comments and it's just like, oh, casuals thought that it was a bad draft class. So it's funny just how the narrative shifts like so early. But at the same time, I mean, summer league doesn't really mean anything. We saw Wemby last year. I'm pretty sure he had a terrible summer league. And everyone was like, oh, he's going to be a bust. And then we saw what happened. I'm not going to say the same thing for Bronny or anything like that. But it is interesting to see the type of fit that these players have going into summer league and see if that's going to, correlate at all into the actual season. And I guess just looking at these 3 different draft picks, the different teams that our Buffs are now on, is there anyone that stands out, do you think, that will have a bigger role or has like the best fit of a team that they placed into?
Out of our 3 Buffs, you
Correct.
are asking, correct?
Yeah, I think we should stick with our Buffs just because, there's so many role players and different people that got drafted, and us being Buff fans and seeing firsthand experience that these 3 players helped us win a bunch of games this past year. Like, who do you think will have the best fit on the team that they're at right now?
Yeah, I think looking into the future, and similar to the reasons you said he was the most NBA ready now, I think Da Silva has the potential to be the best player in the next 5 years and have the best fit. Just because, like you said, his game is so well-rounded, which includes his shooting, rebounding, defensive capabilities, which gives him a high ceiling already with the progress he's made in college. And I just think he has a high IQ. He's playing with a bunch of young, awesome players at the Orlando Magic that can help him develop into a key player. And yeah, I just think his development trajectory has been off the charts, and he's going to consistently improve throughout his NBA career.
I think I definitely, the thing is too, is like there's such a big difference with some teams in the league right now. Like on one hand, we have the Lakers who are trying to do whatever it takes to win now. And then there's other teams like the Magic, the Jazz, the Rockets that are building up for the Thunder, obviously, to help them out a bit. But like all these draft picks, and then are just slowly the draft picks are becoming stars. I'm just going to say now, I'm predicting the Jazz with the team that Cody Williams is on. I'm predicting the Jazz to win the Summer League because if you look at their roster, it's stacked. I mean, I got the Jazz winning Summer League. I'm just going to read off a couple names on their roster. We got Kyle Flipowski, Keontae George, Walker Kessler, Kenneth Lofton Jr., Armando Bangkot, Cody Williams, obviously, and Isaiah Collier. Like, this is a team of well-known names throughout the country, rather than there's some other teams, the Summer League teams that you're like, who is this 2K generated player? You know what I mean? So I think that the Jazz have some good young talent on this team. And I guess what I was trying to go with there is it's cool seeing a player like Cody, who's only 19 years old, hop on a team with other young stars and just seeing them develop because we really don't know how much they'll actually play when the season comes around. And we got to start giving some love to KJ on this podcast because KJ was our star last year. I mean, he was our number one player, got snubbed for Pac-12 Player of the Year. We don't got to talk about it now, but I think it's also just because he's not playing the Summer League. He's injured. I think Cody, 5 years comes around, he's going to be developed probably into a star. And it's just because he's so young, he's definitely going to put on some weight, and he just has that NBA player capabilities. Someone like a KJ who it's hard to kind of give any hate to because of what he did, and him being drafted 42nd overall is huge. I mean, early on the second day, I was not expecting that. I was expecting more of closer to the end of the draft, kind of like Jabari Walker was a couple years ago. He was like 59th, which was one before the end. But it's going to be tough for KJ he's not going to be able to score 30 points like you would do in college. And scoring was obviously his biggest asset. So someone like Cody who can play defense, who can guard the number one player on the team, he can rebound, like he's a little more lengthy. I definitely think he'll be able to develop better in the league. But I mean, obviously wishing all the best to KJ. And also, I just can't wait to watch him play in the league because seeing them firsthand, like these past 3 years, it's been awesome just to see that correlate into the league and against other players that they would never even played of. And I guess we can go into that real quick. Obviously, we're in the Big 12 now. Little lighter of a conference for football, but basketball, I mean, there's no way other to put it that like we might be screwed. Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, Houston. Oh my God. Like it's going to be hard. We're going to definitely need to put some work in the transfer portal. I know we already have some new stars who we'll definitely talk about once the basketball season comes around. But yeah, I guess my question to you is, why is CU basketball so overshadowed? I mean, Tad Boyle, he's developed many NBA stars. He's been with the Buffs for about 14 years now, and you just don't hear about him at all in the media. Even watching that NBA draft, there's like you saw Kentucky, UConn, you saw like all these other coaches that were around and being showed on TV. Where's Tad Boyle at? Like, I'm sure he was there. He got 3 players drafted. So there's just no hype around our basketball team. Is there a reason you think that?
Yeah, I think there are definitely a couple reasons. The first one being just competing programs at CU. I feel like football often takes precedence in terms of both media coverage and resource allocation. I mean, we were learning about this, right? How much money actually goes into the football program versus other programs at school. It's crazy if you look at the numbers. Secondly, I will just say location. Like Colorado is not traditionally known as a basketball powerhouse, which then again affects or impacts the media attention and national recognition. Excuse me. And then lastly, we just, we're obviously hyped up right now. Like we just had 3 guys go to the draft, but historically CU has not had much success in the basketball realm compared to other Pac-12 schools and now being in the Big 12, I mean, it's just not leading to much national exposure.
Yeah, no, you said that perfectly. But I think, on the other hand, something that is going great for us is the bald man himself, Derek White, just named to the USA men's team. And obviously, him being a Buff, I got to cheer for him. It's hard, though, as he's a Celtic and I'm a Lakers fan. But I think it's awesome to see him get some exposure. It is kind of crazy that he got it over Jaylen Brown. But do you think someone like Derek White can kind of change the trajectory around in college basketball for the Buffs?
Yeah, I think that really is on the shoulders of Mr. White. I agree. It's awesome. I think it's crazy that I would say, like, it's honestly split between our friends. Like, oh, Derek White went to CU. Like, come on. That's the CU legend, Like, I feel like a bunch of people are not very familiar with his path. And I understand that, he's kind of a strange looking fella. He's definitely like not the number one option or anything, but he puts in work and it's showing off as he just won a championship and he's been named to the Olympic team. But yeah, I've seen a couple posts with Derek White. I think the CU basketball team definitely hypes up Derek White's accomplishments more than Derek White is hyping up the CU basketball team's accomplishments, but it is definitely a step in the right direction to be more nationally well recognized.
Yeah, you said that greatly. I think it kind of goes to show the vision of CU basketball. Someone like Derek White, who he's not the number one star on the team, but he does everything right. And you go day in, day out, you put the work in. Like you don't even have to be that number one option to be on the USA men's team. I mean, he wasn't even an all-star. So but it goes to show that's the type of NBA talent that I think we'll get from a Da Silva, a KJ Simpson, and a Cody Williams, just doing the right thing. And I think that's what Tad Boyle preaches. Last note, our guy, when we were freshmen, I'm just thinking about it right now. That game, we beat Arizona, stormed the court, and the captain, Evan Battier himself, had that speech. And I remember you took that video of him, and it was him saying that he was going to come back. And believe it or not, he's back. He's going to be assistant coaching for the future. What do you think someone like him brings to the team?
Yeah, I mean, Battier being back, especially, it's interesting because a lot of these kids that are coming into CU next year or even an underclassmen right now probably have no idea who this guy is or the importance he brings to the culture of Colorado. But this guy is a CU legend, man. Like,
they call him the governor. The governor of Boulder is his nickname.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we've watched some pretty bad CU teams. We've watched some good CU teams. You know what I mean? And through thick and thin, this guy has been on both sides of it all. And Battier is always just a guy you could never stop cheering for. That speech he had in his the Arizona game, which I believe was the last home game of the season, was very emotional, not only for him, but for me as well as a fan. So I'm very excited. He's been here before. He knows how Tad Boyle works, and I think he's going to bring a lot of great experience and knowledge to the team that is much needed as we make our way into the Big 12.
Yeah, no, you said it. You said it perfectly. I think before we close it off, I want to come at you with this question, which I'm just thinking on top of my head. But out of KJ, Cody Williams, and Da Silva, what is going to be the first NBA award that either of you get, or possibly just in the future, any award? What do you think it'd be?
Okay, I'm just going to say this really quick because I know you got your glazing on KJ done, but I just wanted to go off on him really quick. It's just some quick college stats. 19.7 points per game. Close to 59% true shooting percentage, which is crazy. 98.7 defensive rating. And I don't think he's going to win any of these awards, but he was just so good, man. It sucks because Da Silva and Cody are both 6'8". He's 6'1". You know what I mean? This is the NBA. But that being said, Ooh, I wouldn't be surprised if Cody won Rookie of the Year. I don't know. Hey, I mean, like I said, it's anything could happen this year. There's no alpha player out of this draft, and from what we've been seeing in the summer league, I mean, hey, why not, right? Like, Sko Buffs, Sko Cody. He's got that drive. He's got the bright lights around him that he's been used to before. I don't know. I think he could do it. How about you?
That would be amazing. I think I'm going to go a little more level-headed. I can see Cody being on some sort of all-defense team in the future. That would probably it, because kind of like you mentioned, it's hard to transition into the league, like from college. Like college is just a whole different level than NBA hoops, obviously. So it's going to be hard for KJ to, just transition into the league. But it would be awesome just to see either two, I mean, obviously three of them, but multiple of them on the all-team rookie.
There are some lengthy bros, dude. I mean, we know that Da Silva was drafted. I mean, both of them are just like perfect NBA prospects when it comes to size. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the NBA is definitely taking a shift now where it was very 3-point dominant, as we saw through the Splash Bros in the Warriors area. But now there's definitely, I think, a lot more emphasis on defense. So these guys are not only perfect draft prospects when it comes to their body, their minds, and the way they can hoop, but also they bring so many defensive intangibles to the table as well. That is yet to be seen, that I'm sure the world will be exposed to in the next coming months.
Yeah, the best players in the league right now, the best teams, like just like the Celtics, are two-way players, guys that can score and defend rather than, trying to do it all on the offensive side. So that's definitely true. And I think one last note, it's also interesting, like players that have so much success in college basketball, perfect example being Armando Bacot from North Carolina, or even DJ Burns from NC State. Like we saw the generational run he went on this March Madness, but it doesn't really correlate to the league just because he's not going to be doing that on a Joel Embiid, on a Rudy Gobert. So it's interesting to see that the types of players who come out of college, but then like Bacot is peaked already, and the development that Cody is trending on is what gets me super excited just to keep watching him. Obviously, I'm a Laker fan, but I gotta root for these other teams now: the Jazz, the Hornets, and the Magic. We'll be keeping you on our radar. Go Buffs! So to cut it off, we appreciate you guys tuning in to Buffs Banter. Make sure to listen to our next show from the #1 student-ran sports show here at the University of Boulder, Colorado. Make sure to follow and subscribe to us on all platforms and stay updated as we chop up everything going on with Colorado sports.
Skull Buffs, baby.